Today, we're going to share with you a little bit of how you can make a difference. If you're already making a difference, that's wonderful. We urge you to continue to do that and to help us if you want to showcase what we do in people you know, to people you know. So for example, some of our services we'll mention today, okay? Our organization, Compassionate Community Care, is a registered Canadian charity comprised of healthcare professionals, volunteers, and specialists who provide support to vulnerable persons and their families during illness and crises. These times can be bedridden. People can be, for example, in a moment of vulnerability. Someone might sign up, for example, for something called MAID, which is a Made in Canada term used to describe medical assistance in dying. Unfortunately, that is it's becoming more and more common. And so unfortunately, what we want to do is help provide some care and support where people can actually speak to someone who is trained to help them walk them off that ledge, ultimately not choose euthanasia. And so we at CCC believe that all human life has equal dignity, and every person deserves to be treated with respect and compassion while receiving the care they need and deserve. Whether you are facing a chronic condition, disability, or end-of-life situation, we're here to help. Some of our services include our toll-free helpline. It's a number, it's listed here, but we also have cards in the back and brochures and pamphlets. This number is available 24 hours a day. And I can attest to this. We get a large number of our calls right to and leading up into Christmas, Easter, for example, these busy periods where most people become lonely. Sometimes elderly people become disassociated with family or loved ones. They're not invited to certain things, or maybe they're not included. We want to encourage them to be included, right? And visit, especially with them. We have a toll-free helpline, which we provide advice, care, and support, which is toll-free. We also have a non-toll-free number that's listed on the screen, and we have brochures in the back. We also have, excuse me, we started in 2010 from the need to protect, educate, and support those who are most vulnerable. Our series of discussions actually is featured on our website on elder abuse prevention. So if you know anyone who is, or maybe is faced with elder abuse, you can help prevent it and stop it. Ultimately, that's what we want to do. We want to stop these things that are happening that are negative in the community, because they can also lead into a cycle where people are actually thinking and feeling more vulnerable. Those sessions are recorded, they're available online. Areas that we help when people call, well, it could be a dispute between family members. So we help conflict resolution. Also, patient advocacy, advocate on behalf of the patient to get the best care, the best treatment options, to be notified of what treatment options are available, because some people don't realize it. You know, you may have an 82-year-old person who's very well, very healthy. She simply has a UTI, you know, a urinary tract infection, ends up in the hospital, and they tell her, do you want to do a DNR? Right? These are stories we're hearing all the time. And sadly, you know, it doesn't happen everywhere, but it can happen. And so how do you handle certain situations where you may not know what to do and how to react? Feel free to give us a call, okay? We provide education on issues related to treatment, elder abuse, neglect, all of that. Our training programs, which I'll touch on a little briefly, help build communities of compassionate community care dedicated members who will ultimately go out and be able to become leaders and volunteers in the community. What does this mean for us? Well, just over the end of COVID, we saw how this really applied, right? These images of people speaking, meeting through glass, right? Walls or doors. And so what we see is loneliness affected everyone during COVID. And sadly, unfortunately, what we see a lot of times happen is that there were two major groups. We took a survey actually of people from COVID. At the tail end of it, we surveyed over 500 Canadians, and we interviewed them, asked them about their experience. And the two camps that came back said, one group found it very endearing because they remained in contact. They remained dedicated to a member of their community, a niche, a group that they formed. Maybe it was a ministry team. There was, I heard, a rosary group that was started here at the parish during COVID, which they continue to meet now on Zoom, online. And they found it lonely, but they actually found their niche. They found their what they called their tribe. And they remained very faithful to that group, and they were finding it positive and uplifting. The second group found it very challenging, more frustrated, and they found that the visits, the fact that they limited themselves from contact with people, really restricted them. They became depressed, and they felt lonely, isolated from family and friends. They were cut off. So they found that they fell into despair, even often suicidal ideation, ideas of suicide. Sadly, there was then the third group. And this third group is very important. Why? Because they came through this challenge by having one person, a single person, either be it spouse, a family member, a neighbor, a friend, someone who check in on them routinely, a wonderful, good Samaritan, right? Someone who would check on them and make sure they're okay. That one person, be it a dog or belief in higher being or belief in their God, that one being made all the difference. So it's important to realize how much your role, your impact, your influence in someone's life makes all the difference. And those people did not fall into the second category where they were in despair and they did not feel depression. So it's very important to keep this in mind. The cure for depression and being dissociated or not connected is to become interconnected, right? God created us to be social beings. We're all connected. We see that when we go to mass, church, other community events, where our goal is to want to be closer to him ultimately and be in communion with one another. And so what they found when they did these studies, that if you allow chronic loneliness to perpetuate, you actually see it affects people's psyche. It can affect them physically, their own bodies. It's almost comparable. Chronic loneliness is comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's the impact it can have on your physiologically. So the issue is not just about mental health, but it could be physical health. So it affects you physically when you are lonely. And they say the treatment for this is to become more involved with each other and be ahead of that curve, okay? Which I call the tidal wave now, tidal wave of abandonment or tidal wave of, social isolation. So what I say, and often I say this, is I bring up these studies, but we've gone over this in terms of how chronic loneliness can impact adults. What we see now, everyone can be affected by loneliness. We're all human, and any one of us can experience these similar human emotions and feel vulnerable. Cultural loneliness affects our health, it affects our quality of life, and it can be a threat to our life. We are focused on visiting the lonely who are socially or physically isolated, those within our communities, family members, loved ones, and community members and neighbors. By being with others, you help people protect them from despair. We can change the world one person at a time. We can protect people by caring. We care for our own. It starts with our own circle, our family, our loved ones, our neighbors, right? And by doing our trainings, you will learn how to effectively visit and be visitors in your community. So we offer two trainings. One is the Being with Visitors training, which is wonderful because it's a session that's actually happening tomorrow night. We have a virtual one, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then the second, session is on Thursday night from 7 to 9 p.m. So if you sign up today, I'll send you an email. You can actually register. It's completely free. And this will give you, you'll gain the confidence to journey with those who are suffering, socially isolated, sick or dying, to renew their hope and purpose in life. And it's a free event. We also host them. We've had one in, I believe, October. Some of you were there, so thank you for being there. And we had a wonderful group come out. And we've been visiting since. We've been going to the local resident home beside us here in Mississauga. And it's a wonderful opportunity simply to relate with others, have that courage to speak up and be in communion with others. The other session that we hold is this, ultimately, with myself and this gentleman here, Alex Schadenberg, who's my colleague. He's the director of Euthanasia Prevention Coalition. I direct compassionate community care. So we do this together on this week we'll be doing Wednesday and he'll be doing Thursday session with you. We also host a patient advocacy, okay? And the patient advocacy helps you by learning how to gain the skills to be an advocate, both for yourself and for others around you, which is really great. Ultimately, we see that suicide prevention includes assisted suicide. Often we get on our helpline, we get calls from suicide prevention referrals. So people who called the suicide prevention hotline, they actually told them about our help and support, and then they're referred to us, okay? So we see there's that gap in the system. So we're filling that gap, okay? And we're really literally the last line of defense, okay? And so with that, I'm gonna show you some slides. These are actually CWL ladies who in our area of London, where we happen to be located, we captured their stories, which we do a training on how to interview people. And in part of that's called the My Story. So you capture the person's story that you sit with and you meet with and you volunteer and visit with. And we did this and we gathered all these wonderful stories, over 50 women did their stories over the course of COVID. And from that, we learned how to relate their information. We published a wonderful book, and I have a copy in the back. I'll show it with you. And you can see it online. And they're so thrilled to be part of this because they were able to hear about others' stories. They could share about their ministry, share about their own lives. And when you share things, there's healing there. There's a therapy. There's a reminiscent therapy that happens. You're recollecting stories. You can become your own legacy writer, right? And capturing your own stories, which is wonderful. These are real ways that you can help people. Visit elderly, preferably in pairs. So we train you on how to do that by our trainings like tomorrow and the next day. Encourage social interaction, tea and coffee groups. We're going to host more of these types of events here at the church. So you'll get to meet more people, visit with, and actually learn a little bit about our services. These are some of my kids and some of the other moms that visit, and we've done singing carols, example here in Mississauga and in Brampton, and at wonderful organizations that we can kind of facilitate this. So if you know someone who wants to maybe partake in this type of events with us, feel free to let me know. Today, I'm going to jump right into this, which is our newest project, which is our program that we've had running over the last year. It's called Community of Hope Outreach Connecting with Seniors Projects. So for those who are shut in, living remote, don't go outside, don't go to mass, maybe they want a phone call, right? Maybe they can't make it outside or can't come to an event. We call them. And this is what this is. It's a nationwide, Canada-wide calling service. It's absolutely free. So anyone can be a part of it. You could be a volunteer. You could be called. We're actually looking for more seniors now. So we have a lot of great volunteers. We're actually looking to have seniors join us. So if you know of a senior who's interested in maybe getting calls, please reach out to us. We would love to hear from them. This is a service for people who are 55 plus. We actually had adults who are in their early 30s ask if they can be part of the service. So we're linking them up with seniors as well because they can become lonely too, right? They want someone to talk to. And it's anyone who's 55 over who could be socially or physically isolated. And we're simply looking for support or a friendly person to talk to. So if you're interested in volunteering, feel free to sign up as well. We'll send you more information on how to do that. And this is a government-funded project. We were able to receive a grant, hence this was available to us, and hence we're able to host this beautiful luncheon for you. It's through the New Horizons for Seniors program, NHSP, and it's a program to provide funding for projects that make a difference in the lives of seniors in their communities. Okay, and so with that, I'm just going to segue really quickly to the quick program overview. So you'll learn a little bit how we facilitate this program. And what's really lovely about this is that it's a complete, in terms of understanding, you gain the understanding of how to relate and be in communion with others. So here's this. Can you see this okay? Perfect. Community of outreach. Okay, perfect. So an overview really is how we go through the program. And this is here, ultimately, it's for anyone who's interested, you can join us and you can become a volunteer or you can be called. So like I said, we see that 1/3 of seniors claim they lack companionship. 30% said they socialize with friends, seniors or family members once a week or less. We've literally had people talk to us and say during COVID and even after, even before COVID, they would go to the grocery store just to talk to someone. They would go out and shop just to meet someone, to talk to someone. So I actually will say to people, and we have a psychologist who joins us occasionally on these, and she says, when you go out to people and you go shopping, make it a memorable experience. Maybe it's the person beside you in line, talk to them, say, hi, how are you doing? See and talk to them simply to see what they're feeling that day, because maybe that's the only contact they had with anyone. Screening. Our screening process is very involved. And ultimately, we have a screener who's our project coordinator. Her name is Suzanne Luzinski. And she will go through the applications, go through all the volunteers, vet them. And once the volunteer completes and submits a screening form, the program coordinator, Suzanne, will reach out to them for additional information for the volunteer, from the volunteer, such as language skills. We have some volunteers who would prefer to only speak in their language. So we're actually currently looking for people who are French speaking and Hebrew speaking, who want to be partaking in the service. If you know anyone who's Hebrew speaking, we have a senior who would like to be spoken to as well in their language. So it's a great opportunity to link up with people who might have various languages skills as well. Connecting. Then each volunteer is matched with a senior who's compatible with their profile. There's a short introduction call, and that's made to connect the senior to the program coordinator and inform them of their connection. And then the volunteer and the senior work together to produce the date and time for the calls. The call then is set up. There's a practice one with the program coordinator. They're offered as well as regular check-ins with the volunteer to answer any questions. If there's an issue or a more complex nature should arise, the senior shares their information, and whichever could happen, like if something is a threat, then obviously we need to notify our supervisors and they need to facilitate that back to us. So it's important, obviously, to ensure the safety of every person involved. But otherwise, there is this confidentiality that happens, and that ensues. There's a sense from either party that if the fit is not a match and it's a poor match, an option to withdraw and be assigned to someone else is always available. Some of the benefits of the program. Here are some quotes we received from some of our connected seniors. It is so good to hear your voice today. I have been waiting for your call. It makes me feel a lot better when I'm able to share some of my day with you. I really look forward to speaking with you next week. It's good to know that someone cares enough to call. These calls help me with my loneliness and my depression. Increasingly, we see this in Canada. Seniors are facing this sense of isolation, depression, loneliness in their communities. Our program offers an affordable, simple, and effective way to address the crisis. And that is among the seniors unable to connect with those in their surroundings. Whether this issue is one of mobility, proximity, or transportation, we all want seniors to make a connection that is vital to their physical and emotional well-being. This program aims to bring hope and healing to empower seniors in their communities. So with that, I'm going to conclude.
Hello, my name is Lina DeMattia, and I am very grateful to be here with you today. I want to thank Kathy for this opportunity. A little bit about me. I'm a wife, a mom, and a grandma, a nonna actually, in Italian. In my work life, I worked for the Alzheimer's Society of Chatham, Kent for 25 years. I have a certificate in long-term care management and an apostolate in youth ministry, and I'm a spiritual director. It is my understanding that there is many volunteers here in the room, and I would like to offer my deep appreciation for the time and energy you give to help others. Your willingness to serve makes you a beacon of hope for those in need. Today, I will be sharing strategies that you can use when supporting someone, whether on the phone, on a Zoom call, or in person. These approaches will help you provide comfort, encouragement, and hope to those who may be struggling. So my presentation today is called Bringing Hope as a Volunteer. First, we have to prepare ourselves for the conversation. You will be matched with someone, and they may give you some information about that person, but it's good to ask follow-up questions as well. It's good to look at family life, work life, hobbies, and their faith if it is appropriate. This helps to build rapport because you already have a bit of information and you can ask that person that you are speaking to about some of those things that we discuss, family life, work life, hobbies. Okay? And it is really important to set up an open, compassionate tone from the start, right? So if you're already prepared, that helps you as a volunteer as well to be able to communicate to that person. The other thing is looking and doing a check-in to understand that person's emotional state, right? So mood plays a huge role in how we can communicate, if we can communicate effectively, if we can get through, if we can look at helping. If the person is shut down or shut off, it's really difficult to be able to have a conversation. So looking at where that person is. So looking at their mood and asking them, how are you feeling today? We want to access their baseline. Baseline is that where are they physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? If you can, get answers to those questions, that gives you an awareness of how the conversation may flow, right? So baseline is important, and finding out their mood and where they are helps you to discover what that baseline is. Asking open-ended questions can help it to determine that baseline. So things like affirmation, that must be difficult, I hear you, tell me more, right? Building a rapport with someone or being able to have an intimate, more deep conversation, depending on the person. Sometimes I get people that I'm shopping and I know something, I say hello, and they will open up to me in the grocery store. Other people are very closed, introverted, do not want to have a discussion. So it's really important to understand that as well. It's not this piece of being successful, it's just connection. You want to connect with that person. Some days they'll connect with you more, depending on how they're feeling, depending how their physical health is. Sometimes they might communicate less. Okay. So we have to look at active listening and emotional validation, and it's really important about the emotional pieces. When we are in some kind of suffering, we often sit in very difficult emotional places. So we give them our full attention and we avoid interruptions. So making sure that there is no interruptions when you're on the call, on the Zoom call, or when you're in person, and giving them that reflect back, so that when they say something, you give them a little snippet of what they've said. It sounds like you're feeling exhausted from all of this. Right? Invalidate, we spoke about emotion, but validating their emotion. It's okay to feel this way because it really is. I mean, if they're not feeling well, how else would we feel? Of course, we're not going to feel good. We're not going to feel happy, right? And acknowledging the suffering, and that's really important. I know that we want to bring comfort, we want to bring compassion, we want to bring strength and that to them. But the first place that we have to start is to validate that they are suffering, right? If that's what where the conversation's going. So saying I'm sorry is a huge indicator to them that you care, right? You didn't do anything. Like you're not apologizing for anything you have done. However, you're you're acknowledging that you are sorry that this situation is happening to them. Okay. And we also are there to provide hope without dismissing that reality. Uh, their reality is much different than our own. They're in a different spot, right? We're looking at baseline. We're looking at conversations that will help us understand that. We're hoping to understand their mood. Much of what's going on there we can't dismiss. We can't just say, well, things will get better. It's going to be fine. We have to really look at where that person is, right? So we're highlighting those small victories, like you got out of bed today. That is a big step. Or, and I want to tell you a story about that actually. For myself, when I was ill, I would get out of bed. I would get dressed, right? I would make my bed. All of those things were small things, but for me, it gave me, we'll talk about purpose in a bit, but it gave me a purpose, but it also was something that was my reality in the sense of like, it's hard to get out of bed, but once I did it, it gave me hope, right? So it's useful also to, give that realistic language, like you've overcome challenges before, and I believe in your strength. And we can also encourage by taking practical steps, like what has helped you get through these times, the hard times before, so that they can have this awareness that, wait a minute, this could become, it could resolve like it did before, or what strategies did I use before, or who am I like fighting for? Who is my focus right now? Is my family, my friends, like all of those things. So having them thinking in that perspective of, oh, I've overcome before, okay? And we have to actually look at that strength-based approach. Identifying usually is by those things that we cannot do, right? People say, well, I can't do that, right? I'm not able to do that anymore. But instead of that, we want to flip it and look at their strength. And strength, and what they still can do. And often, if it's not the physical and what we can physically do, it is important to look at the interior and what we can still do inside, right? Like that, our feelings, our emotions, our things that we can be compassionate to others, caring to others. We can do all of those types of things, right? So it's looking at those strengths. And you can actually say to them, you've been a caring person, and you can encourage them. Even resting today is a way of taking care of yourself, right? Oh, like you got out of bed, you got dressed, that's wonderful. Okay, it's time to rest. It's okay to rest, right? And in those meaningful conversations, we make connections. Like we can gently question things so that hopefully there be some response. What has been on your mind the most lately, right? Offer some spiritual encouragement if it's welcomed. You are not alone. God walks with you. Share a comforting story or memory if appropriate. So if you have something, I shared a few things today. Like if there's something that you can share that is appropriate, that gives that connection, that they can see that you have also had suffering and you've overcome, try to incorporate that into the discussion. Supporting someone to find their purpose. This is really important because purpose gets lost when we physically can't do things. So if I can't walk and do that, then how am I going to work? What am I going to do? And we identify with those things, with work, with family life, with spiritual life, with hobbies. All of that is how we identify ourselves. So it's important to find those ways that we can help them to find a purpose, even if that purpose, again, not big and bold per se, but something small that is tangible and doable, right? So we have to then validate their feelings first. It's okay to feel this way. So we reframe the purpose. Small moments of connection. You're so kind. Their kindness, you know, their faith matters. Those questions that you can ask that gives them an opportunity maybe to give you some information. What has brought you joy and fulfillment in the past? Is there something that gives you strength right now? What's one thing you can do today that makes you feel like yourself? And I had worked with many people who had Alzheimer's disease, and we would have a baking group. And each person at that baking group had a purpose. One was able to read the recipe, one was able to stir, one was able to crack eggs. Everyone that was sitting there had something that they could do based on their strengths. And that made for a beautiful masterpiece of a cake that we did at the end. It allowed everyone to see I had a part in doing this, right? So finding someone's purpose is very important. And we can find that too through small actions. If you're looking at baseline, you want to see what their strengths are. So can they write? Can they walk? Is there something with their hearing or their vision? All those things are important to know when you're coming into the discussion at the very first conversation that you have with this person. You need to know some of the things that they still have in their strengths, their abilities, all of that. So, writing letters to loved ones, sharing life advice or stories, finding comfort in faith, right? Enjoying simple daily rituals like music, reading, or nature. And now there's podcasts and there's audiobooks. There's so many things that if someone can't see, there's other ways of doing things. Someone can't hear, there's other ways. So we want to be able to look and see what it is that we can do, right? So flipping it to make it a positive and moving forward through the strengths. And you can remind them, you still have so much to offer, because that is true, right? They do have a lot to offer. Even if the physical isn't available, there's many things that they could do in even small ways. And it's that inner peace, like that inner peace that we're looking for, right? Being kind, praying for others, all of those types of things. Your life has a meaning beyond what you do. It's who you are, right? And it's important to understand that and to hold on to that and embrace that, right? and also to have someone affirm that. Okay, so one of the last is we also have to look at you as a volunteer, and we want to make sure that you are safe and happy in your volunteering. So in that conversation, sometimes that you have with someone else, things may escalate. So we have to consider that some things are bigger than us and that we have to transfer to a supervisor or someone else. So these types of things look like this, and you probably may have training on this, but I would just like to reiterate here. So if the person is expressing hopelessness or suicidal thoughts, if there's signs of abuse or neglect or a crisis of some kind, if they're requesting anything medical, legal, or financial, those are the things that are bigger than us that we need to then pass on to a supervisor, right? So we have to transition that call. And how we do that is we look at saying something like, I hear how difficult this is for you. I want to make sure you get the best support, okay? And watch for signs of for yourself of burnout, like emotional exhaustion, like you just don't have that energy. Um, you feeling ineffective, like, am I really making a difference here? And then there's this piece of detachment. I'm not sure if this is for me, right? So there's this encouragement for you then to do a check-in, right? For you to do self-care, for you to decide. Much of maybe what is said to might be said to you may be heavy, may be hard, right? So take care of yourself. It's not selfish. It's just necessary, right? You cannot pour into others when your own cup isn't full. So when I spoke to many caregivers, husbands, wives, children of people who were journeying with Alzheimer's, the discussion was always you need to look after yourself, right? Like first as a caregiver so that then you can take care of your loved one. So this is what this statement is saying. You have to take care. You have to pour in. You can only pour into others when your cup is full. Okay, so you have to look at that. And how you do that, though, is we're looking at boundaries, right? Healthy boundaries. And it's okay to say no. Volunteers are not responsible to fix things. And that is hard. Like you see someone suffering and you really do want to fix things, but it's not for us to fix those things that are bigger than us, right? So we delegate that. Delegating is not a sign of weakness. Delegating is a sign of wisdom because even from my experience, I know what I am capable of doing. I know what I am capable of saying. Other times in my career, I've had to consult a nurse. I've had to consult a social worker. I've had to do and bring things to others because it wasn't for me to do. It was bigger than me. And again, I will say this: delegating is a not a, is a sign of wisdom, right? It's a sign of wisdom, not failure. All right. And it's good then to find support, right? Find a support system too if you're feeling these feelings. Communicate it to your supervisor, right? And you could talk to other volunteers if they've had these other experiences. Supervisor first is always best, and then offloading maybe to others, just safe people, safe somebody that is because you're not going to be talking about the person. You're going to be just talking about what's happening with yourself. So you want that to be a safe person, okay? And you could join a group of some kind, a support group of some kind, depending on the situation. So it's important then to seek rest and solitude, to encourage, the things that we want for those who we're speaking with, we want for us as well, right? The physical pieces like good sleep, good nutrition, movement, that mental piece, like, looking at taking breaks and looking at emotional burdens and what that is, process through that, and then looking at our spirituality, trusting again in God and grace and strength. And finally, we want to celebrate you, celebrate your contribution. Remember, you're doing wonderful work, compassionate work, merciful work, and all of it is beautiful, right? We see your dedication and we appreciate you. Even if it feels small, your kindness has a ripple effect. So I'd like to leave you with a quote. Nobody is poor that he has nothing to give, and nobody is so rich that they have nothing to receive. That's St. John Paul II. Thank you.
If you need anything in terms of us, if you want to share some information with someone that you know that you happen to realize, oh, they might want to partake in this service, then feel free to bring that up to me. I'll be in the back and taking any questions as well. If you have any questions right now, we can open the floor up. But ultimately, we would love for you all to know that this program is available. It's here on our parish, and it's going across Canada as well. Some of the groups that we've spoken to, this was actually, they take in our programs and our trainings and they ran with it. This was a prayer card that was made and bundled with some candies that was given out to local seniors. Wonderful effort. This was a youth and senior gift exchange where seniors were interviewed by the youth and they captured their stories and gave it back to them. It was a form of legacy building. And again, our free and confidential helpline, your help is only a phone call away. Feel free to reach us anytime. We are a charity, so if any of you feel inclined to want to support our work, you will receive a charitable tax donation as well, and that's in the new year. So feel free to join us. We're going to have some lunch served in the back and refreshments. Thank you so much for your attention, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you. Any questions from the group? Yeah. Nope. Okay. Yes, Michael.
What happens if me on my own can volunteer for this?
Perfect. So you would contact me, simply sign your name up, and we'll find you a time that works. We'll do an interview and we'll go from there. Okay.
I usually want to reach my mom first.
Sure.
She's on the most weekend.
Yes. Okay, perfect. They're also, I'll mention this quickly. I don't think I saw it in the slide, so I'm going to mention it. We also do a vulnerable sector check. It's a police check with vulnerable sector. So it's a full check, making sure that person is actually fine to work with vulnerable people or what they qualify vulnerable people, the elderly and seniors. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Michael. Great question. Any other questions? Yes, Gerald. Yes. 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 So this program actually mirrors the UK Silver Line. Have anyone heard of the Silver Line? So in the United Kingdom, they have a nationwide service, especially for this, what they call the pandemic of loneliness experienced by seniors. And they did this over 10 years ago. They started this free helpline where you can call and speak to a senior regularly. And this would be, it's a nationwide program. So this is actually mirroring that same program. And that's why we hope we can continue it and have your support. Any other questions? Oh, currently we have about a dozen that are working across Canada. Yes, exactly. And then we have other volunteers that have been actively visiting. So there's the visiting people who are out in the community, and then we have the calling. The calling right now is still in the earlier stages. They're growing, but we have around a dozen that are currently calling. Yes, yes. Thank you. Yes.
But you have a chosen name CCC, the conflict with Catechism of the Catholic Church.
Similar, yes. That's a good question. That was before my time, but I created the abbreviation just to make it faster when we are spelling it out. But their full name is Compassionate Community Care. But there's a lot of organizations with the same title. We actually have one in our neighboring London community, so they get some of our packages and we get some of theirs. But it's a long-term care kind of PSW place, so that's why. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, perfect. Okay, yes. Thanks. Yes. Absolutely. We're always looking for people to visit. It takes a very special person to want to go out, actually meet with someone. We have a special training, like I mentioned, the Being With training that's happening tomorrow night. But we do ask for both. If you are interested in both, please do let us know. We would love to have you. We actually currently have people in London that need visiting. There's a lady here in the Peel area. There's a couple of people that are looking for visitors as well, actively. So we definitely are looking for both. Yes. Sure. Yeah. Yes. No, It's fine. It's valid. Yeah, that's no problem. Within the year, for sure. Thank you very much. Please sign up if you can. Thank you. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Yes. Remind me. Oh, what's the full name? Do you know? MBC. I don't know them personally, but I would be interested in finding out more. If you know. Okay. Yes. 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 Okay. So it's a center for people with disabilities, for example. Yes. Okay. So we don't connect direct contact, but if you can give me their info, I can definitely look at passing this along to them. Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. Hi.
Percentage of these seniors live in the senior home.
Yes. A lot of people are in seniors' homes. Some are in the lower income housing. And so they're through government funded housing, like subsidized housing. I don't have exact statistics, but I can get back to you on that. I know for us, we visit with active seniors residences. One that's here, that's called Chartwells. That's a very popular one. And there's a number of them here, but there's one that's right on Robert Speck. That's the one that we visit with. And then one in Villa Polonia, which is in Brampton. We visit there as well. But if you know of other communities, yeah, we could get in touch. Yes, that's right. So if you know where you want to go, we could set that up with the administration team there. Absolutely. Yes. And we do visit as a group too. So that's our main thing is that, yeah, so you could do both, but the visiting group here has been starting to visit on a basis. But if you know someone who wants on one-on-one, we can facilitate that as well. Yes. Yes. Yep. Oh, okay. Oh, yes. MBC. Okay, I'll take a note of that. Yeah, thank you for that. Excellent. Any other questions? Yeah, yeah. Okay, fantastic. Well, so glad that we could all be here. Again, please feel free to sign up your name. There's lots of food in the back. There's more food coming. We've ordered pizzas as well, so they should be coming in the next few minutes. All right. Thank you, everyone. And feel free to mingle. Thank you. Thank you.